All right, guys. This is really heating up. Nigerian youth are taking over. The North has joined the revolution to end the era of INEC manipulation and Tinubu's political thugs. Massive protests are erupting as the youths unite across regions, sending panic into the camps of corrupt politicians from Abuja to Lagos. The streets are heating up as citizens demand an end to electoral fraud and thuggery. Abeg, watch till the end as we expose how this movement is shaking Aso Rock and why Tinubu government is in serious fear. Abeg, subscribe. This is Prospect Channels TV. Subscribe for more updates on the revolution sweeping across Nigeria. Let's get there. I will be right back.
I'm an advocate of change of government. To be more precise, change of presidency. And why? Because as far as I'm concerned, the present administration have not performed optimally. Alright? So that is just it. But be that as it may, if I must tell you, if I'm to choose a preferred candidate or somebody I will want to have as the next president, I will tell you is Peter Obi. Alright? And these are my reasons for saying that. Forget about all these cheap talks or whatever. My reason number one is the fact that the presidency of Peter Obi is going to put to rest a misconception. It's going to prove or demystify a misconception that have lingered in the minds of a good number of Nigerians, which is the fact that an Igbo man cannot be trusted with presidency. If you give him presidency, he's going to divide Nigeria. Right? And you find most of this concept or ideologies in the northern part. Right? So I believe that will put to rest that. Secondly, it's going to put to rest as well the agitation of the IPOPs towards the fact that they feel marginalized. Though the fact is arguable or whatever, but that will put to rest as well. Because when that is ensured now, it will be highly delusive or unreasonable for somebody to come out and say that we need to go. This were not included, it's not working, right? Not as if they have pushed Nigerians into a situation where we are panicking, we need to whatever, but you know, get waiting we never see. You know, get waiting we never try, right? So let's try it and see if what people have in regards to the Igbos is true or not. And thirdly, in regards even the scorecards of the man in question, Peter Obi, comparatively, I think when you look at his scorecard seems to be better than a lot of other contenders. Alright? In as much as that is not what I bank on, I don't bank on that absolutely. Because I've seen, that is why I say antecedents doesn't count. Because I've seen where good antecedents went bad. And at the same time, I've seen where somebody with bad antecedents turned good. So the fact is, only time will tell that. But I just believe that the more we try, the better our chances than sitting down to celebrate mediocrity, even when it's glaring in the eyes of everybody.
I've received many advice asking me to talk about electoral reform. While I believe electoral reform is a necessity, I would still want to indulge us to think a little bit further. You see, those who are clamoring for electoral reform are not doing so exactly. So please don't misconstrue me. I'm not saying we shouldn't go for electoral reform, but we should understand the type of people we have in government. We should understand the type of people that are responsible in making our decisions for us. What is the use of laws when those who make the laws don't respect the laws? What is the use of reforms if judiciary will eventually stamp the fraud and the illegitimacy that INEC concocts? I believe there is nothing wrong with our electoral system. What is wrong with our electoral system is the people saddled with the responsibility of implementing a free and fair election. Look at what happened in Edo State, a clear violation of ethics of politics, a clear violation of ethics of elections. Yet, we have a judiciary that ratifies it because they were given billions of naira. Now, while I believe we should be clamoring for electoral reform, but I still believe there is something more that we should clamor for. Something I believe that is stronger than electoral reform. Something I believe every single citizen should be magnetized to. And that is the resolve that we can be violent if, please, DSS here, before I call the run, so now catch me. If, underline the word if things are not done properly. No matter how dictatorial any human being is, he's always afraid of the will of the people. What we don't have is the will to right the wrong. Those who are saying, Peter Obi is weak, we want somebody. Look, even if you bring the strongest and most rigid person, these people in power, if they want to rig, they will rig it. What we should be letting them know is that if they try PIM, they get PIM. What we should be letting them know is that if they organize thugs, we can be thugs for ourselves. What you should let them know is that whatever plan they plan to rig will be met with grave consequences. And you must mean it. I like Adeonjo when he said, if 1,000 people come to protest, you'll be arrested, you'll be shot at. But when we are in the millions, nobody goes into a crowd and begin to eliminate millions of people. What you should know in Nigeria is there's a force of light and darkness, bad people and good people. But for some weird reason, the bad people are thinking they have more power because they are loquacious and noisier. The good people, however, are silent and inactive. Now, we are not going to wait for one man to tell you to go and protest before you protest. 2027 for me should be a defining moment, whether this country is going to be one or we split it. That I've never spoke about splitting Nigeria does not mean it's not a consideration for me. But to be very frank, what we should be doing is to be resolved. That if INEC does what it knows how to do best, rigging, it will be met with great consequences from the masses. That is what should be resolved. Do PIM, you get PIM. That is, they should see it. They should feel it. They should feel it that if they try anything, this country will go ablaze. It's not about using security measures. I know, maybe, I don't know. But I said if. It's a subjective statement. I'm not saying go and burn INEC office or go and tear Nigeria apart. I said if the people entrenched to keep law and order are themselves disobeying the law, then it becomes imminent that the people will take laws into their hands. The laws are not made to favor those making the laws. The laws are made to be respected by everybody. So if they can't respect the law, we will force them to respect the law. That's all I'm saying. So INEC, as we clamor for electoral reforms, we should also be ready. Of course, people will pass on. They'll be martyred for those are martyrs. But for this country to change, for us to now begin to do things the right way, be rest assured that people must be martyred. We must be ready to sacrifice for this country. I think we should be preparing our mind for the obvious. Because clearly, from what I see from INEC, from what I see from Tinubu, what I see from the judiciary, they will do what they did again. Whether you reform electoral reform, or in fact, even spell it, use big capital letter to write it that election should be counted at the polling unit, mounted at the IREF, counted at the IREF. What is referred to in the IREF will be what will be declared. These people are just planning on how to, find lacuna in any laws that are made. So they are not prepared to follow laws. So the only thing that thief they follow, now ekwe. Thief wey dey that market, say if them give a serious ekwe, he go dey careful. When he knows say the ekwe they prepared, he no go enter the market. Now when he knows say if you enter, people go dey just hey, they hand in line. If these politicians know say serious ekwe, they wait them. Ekwe na BEATING. If they know say big ekwe, they wait for them. All the INEC, they know say if they try him, ekwe go ready for them. I'm telling you, they'll do what is right. So yes, I support electoral reform. Let's go for electoral reform. But then the masses, the youth, you should be ready because they are not willing to give you a better Nigeria. They are not willing to do what is right for you. You should be ready. Don't go and don't snatch boxes, don't do anything. But if they bring what is wrong for you, be prepared to do what is right to take away the wrong. Be prepared to right the wrong. And the only way you can right this wrong is to be prepared to dish out ekwe. Go and ask any woman what is the meaning of ekwe. That is just ekwe, serious ekwe. And they should know you are ready, you mean it. They should know you are prepared to do it. Otherwise, this nonsense will continue. This nonsense will continue. Feeding you lies that things are getting better. It's better than before. Whereas the reality is that you are suffering. Are you prepared to give the away? The choice is yours.
In Nigeria, under Buhari, 78 people were killed in a mass killing and buried in a mass burial in Benue. The president did not go.
Yes.
President Tinubu was on holiday in Paris for 2 weeks. More than 150 people were killed in Plateau. He has not visited the state. Human life in Nigeria means nothing. So that is why somebody will say, I prefer to be a flower vase or a monument in New York, where they will make laws to protect me, than be a human being in Nigeria, God forbid.
Hey. So there was an electoral act in 2022 that was enacted. And right now, if you're seeking electoral reform after something was enacted in 2022, are we saying that one that was enacted in 2022 was useless?
Not completely useless. It was mischievous. What a lot of Nigerians do not pay attention to is the fact that you can make a decision and it does not turn out well. It doesn't mean you should give up on the process. Even we, as we are here, we have family members who can be very stubborn. There could be one pikin where they say, they give the mother problem. The mama know they disown them. She will continue to work and pray and do everything to ensure that you are better off. The Electoral Act of 2022 specified section 60 subsection 5 said the presiding officer will transmit the result in a way and manner as prescribed by INEC. Meaning it is open. But remember that they say the game changer will be electronic transmission of results. Now the question will be, did INEC specify a way? Yes, INEC did. Paragraph 38 of the INEC guidelines clearly states electronic transmission of results. But unfortunately, there was a criminal judiciary who will use technicalities to rule on the case, because that opened and left the elections to be held with INEC's discretion. Where they want to do manual, they will do it. Whatever that they want to do, as long as it's not an omission to the Electoral Act. Immediately after the tribunal case in 2023, everybody's attention was supposed to turn back to the National Assembly and INEC. What were the loopholes we did not close? What happened? Because leaving it, see, the more you become detached from the system is a gift to the politicians. They don't even want you to talk about it. I know the feedback I've been hearing even from the National Assembly. They'll tell you, say, Shedi, you were a content creator, go and continue your content. If now you, they say you should take on and kill yourself, will you kill yourself? We are not going to approve it. They know that that electoral reform is the game changer. So Nigerians must go back. There are two issues: INEC, the laws, and then the judiciary. Close the loopholes on the laws. Look at it holistically, and then now mobilize to protect your vote on the day of election. Let there be electronic transmission of results. Make people they see result as they vote. Ghana did it. South Africa just did it. Nigeria's president was in Ghana. What are we learning from them? So that is the challenge, the mischief of our politicians.
Now in Nigerian election, especially the 2023 general election, now people talk about tribalism a lot, both online and offline. What do you have to say about it? Because over the years, there are some certain class of persons that people feel that these are the persons that always want to rule the country.
They should be the ones to rule.
Edafe, Nigerians are not as disunited as they claim or the politicians want to make it seem. When you see this ethnic and religious division, it is the handwork of evil politicians. But you will notice that when it comes to stealing the commonwealth of the people, they are united. Their children, whether Christian, marry Muslim, they do not have ethnicity at the top. It is during elections they come to divide people across ethnic and religious lines. My father, God rest his soul, he worked with Nigerian Airways before he died. Every time he was transferred back to the south, he will walk it back to the north. My mom met him in SCÅTT. He spoke fluent Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, and we are from the south. He always, when he was watching Boko Haram and everything on TV, he said, no, he knows that there are issues, but they are not this bad. He said even people from the north are some of the most honest persons that he has lived with. He preferred to live with them. So all of these shenanigans you are seeing,
they make us believe
are people trying to pit Nigerians against one another. That is why we must reject that kind of division and ensure that the way we hunger day for Benin is the way go day for Warri. Now say go day for SCÅTT. The people in SCÅTT are not buying fuel different. We know what we want, and the minimum, the people who are out of school where Boko Haram they are killing a lot of northerners too. So why do we think that any other person? Nigerians must just find a way of coming together to see that it is about our own lives,
and not just
about the persons in power, or not about our ethnic or religious differences.
Do you have a particular political orientation that you believe in?
I believe in the welfare of the people. My political orientation is the betterment of humanity. Because you know what, when some people will tell you, say democracy is bad, that democracy does not work, but I go with that statement. There was a former British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. He said democracy is the worst system of government until you try every other system of government. This democracy that you are condemning is no good, it is bad. In China, they do communist system of government.
Yes.
There is autocracy, there is dictatorship, there is whatever you want to call it. The challenge with Nigeria is that the democracy is in parts. There is the principle and the practice. If you follow democracy through the principles of freedom, of equality and equity, of justice and fairness, if you put it into practice, you will enjoy democracy. The countries you want to jackpot to in America are democracies. Is it that democracy changes meaning when it crosses the Atlantic Ocean?
They have a subscription
that we are not subscribing to. Maybe they have gone to democracy max premium. We still doing the problem is that politicians have mastered the art of democratization of disenfranchisement. Politics without the people. Whether you vote or not, they will come back to power. That is why every democracy day, the only places you see celebration is in government houses. You see governor cutting cake, releasing bed. Why? Because they have decided to privatize the profits and socialize the losses to you. So while they are getting the benefits of a democracy without accountability, they are living the luxury, the perks of office. You are the one bearing the brunt, because democracy or a bad government does not exist in a vacuum. We are the collateral for bad governance. If you put in bad governance, it is human lives that make up for it. So that is my own philosophy of
speaking on democracy. Now we have come to democracy. What do you have to say about Governor Fubara's suspension and the whole thing behind putting a new sole administrator in a state that has a democratically elected governor?
What law did President Tinubu use to swear in the sole administrator? The former chief of naval staff, and why the option of that particular person? You know, the problem with Nigeria is that we spend time talking about a problem than the solution. So we want to continue to talk about it. Tinubu did not suspend the Rivers State governor because he thought it was right. He did not suspend because he believes it is wrong. He did it because he knows he can do it and nothing will happen. If President Tinubu thought it was legal, he would have even waited for the National Assembly to pass. Before the National Assembly ratified the memo he sent, he had already sworn him in. And the Senate is supposed to vote with a two-third majority, more than 70 votes. They decided to use a voice vote. We are using illegality to cure illegality. But the question is, why did we get to that point in Rivers State? We must address the root cause. A former governor believed that he became so powerful that he single-handedly made somebody governor. And so therefore, according to Nigerians, they say they have agreement is agreement. This agreement is likened to two thieves struggling to share what does not belong to them. And instead of the owners, who are the Rivers people, to wake up and say no, we want to insert ourselves, they say no, it's agreement. This agreement is the Commonwealth of Rivers State people. That brings us back to the elections I'm talking about. Edafi, Debbie. So the more than 8 million people in Rivers State do not know how to choose a governor. They wait for their former governor to pick. And then if he's tired of that person, he can decide to weaponize the National State House of Assembly against him.
Somebody else.
If you do not go back to fix a system where your people can vote a leader and he's answerable to you, that is why today Fubara is like the PA to the minister. They are just they say they don't do one RNG.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Everybody just they do the peace be like they set coal of fire on that one, force everybody to see that. So everybody
everybody's breathing in and out.
That peace will soon be exposed. The way it is going, because there can be no peace without justice. Any peace built on injustice is peace of the graveyard. So that is where Rivers people are. It is up to Nigerians to wake up and say it is about our lives, not political godfathers. If not, the shenanigans will continue. Tinubu cannot try that in certain states. He knows why he did that.
Wow.
So there's a question people ask in Nigeria. When you tell them come out and vote, there's something they say, do my vote count? Do you really believe our votes count in Nigeria?
Edafi, the question you will ask those people is, if your vote does not count, what are you doing to make it count?
True.
Your vote not counting is directly linked to the quality of life that you have. The reason why people today are struggling with school fee, there is high level of maternal mortality, youth unemployment, inflation, insecurity, is because your vote has not been counting. So at what point will that your vote that is not counting inspire and motivate you enough to get up and insist that it should count? So it is not about whining and complaining. It is about all of us coming together to take action. How many are these people who are making the votes not to count? Calculate the entire political class, the entire National Assembly, 36 state governor. Let us add commissioners. Let's add State House of Assembly. Let's add ministers. Let's add all of them. How many are they? Less than 5 or 10,000 people holding more than 200 million human beings to ransom. So we will ask ourselves the question, the people in power and the power of the people, who should be greater? So it's not enough to complain that your vote doesn't count. It is your duty to ensure that it counts. Activate as an activist.
Activate as all become activists.
Nigeria is a country of more than 200 million activists who have not yet activated. The question should be, what are you waiting for to activate you? May it not be something negative.
Amen. 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 That's the big prayer. So now let's talk Senate. We've gone from all the different arms of government, and it has been an insightful conversation so far. Now, the 10th Assembly suspended Senator Natasha.
Yes.
And based on her allegations to the Senate President. Now, two things happened. The judiciary actually recalled her, rather. And now, the House said that it is the court did not recall her. The court advised that they recall her. And then the Senate President himself now has petitioned appealed her recall. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Z, my people, it is the same thing I tell you about when one government come out, you begin to think that this is bad until the next one comes. You know, Nigerians do not remember that there was a Senate President called Ahmed Lawan in the 9th Senate, who we thought was the worst Senate President. And then Akpabio came with the 10th Senate, and then they will show you that there is another level to this. In fact, the National Assembly today, we do not know. The National Assembly is supposed to be the mainstay of a democracy. That is the only institution that is absent among the other arms of government in a military regime. There is judiciary, there is executive. National Assembly is supposed to be democracy. That is the institution that carries out oversight over every other arm of government. The powers, the checks and balances. Today, the National Assembly is almost an APC town hall. For 2 years, when President Tinubu goes to submit his budget, they greet him with "on their mandate they shall fall," the political mantra of the president. That is why, because all of these are not checked, they now move into victimizing. You say that a person did not obey standing rules, Senator Natasha, that she did not change her seat. You gave her maximum suspension of 6 months. Withdrew her security, stopped her salary. They began a criminal recall of her by some persons petitioning in their constituency to remove her from the Senate. All of this, there was a senator in that place in 2018 who, according to police, led thugs to go and steal the mace, the symbol of authority, in the Senate. He was suspended and taken to court. The Supreme Court nullified the suspension and said you cannot suspend for more than 14 days. He returned back to the Senate. By 2019, he was voted in as Deputy Senate President. A 7th senator in that place, who is a former governor, was convicted of money laundering and sentenced to prison. Did the Senate suspend him?
I wonder.
Did his salary stop until he went to the Supreme Court, overturned it, and came back? So the Senate standing rules does not know how to take care of the criminals amongst them. It is only women who are speaking up for their rights. In a National Assembly of 109 senators, they have only 4 women. One of them is the one going through that persecution. And then now the court, the Justice Binta Anyako, ruled that the Senate should recall the senator. Whether or not it is an advice, it is an order, any decision of a judge in a court of competent jurisdiction is binding on whomever it was given to. The National Assembly is now telling Senator Natasha that she should go and pay 5 million that the court charged her for contempt of court, meaning it is the Senate that is trying to enforce courts on what to do. This is the recklessness and abuse of office. And remember that she had 3 allegations: sexual harassment, abuse of office, malicious intent to deny her legislative privileges. People were asking for the evidence. I'm sure they are getting the evidence now.
They are seeing it.
I'm sure. Remember that sexual harassment is not sexual assault. There are statements and actions that have continuously against this particular person. But you know what? As long as there is no means of accountability, this kind of recklessness and abuse will continue. That is why everybody must speak up. The fact that it is a senator today, it can be anybody. That is why I decided, even when they say, oh, you are doing electoral reform, it concerns the Senate, maybe you should stay away, I said no. Senator Natasha is one of the most hardworking senators in that place. I have been following her work online for her people of Kogi Central and all of that. People should not allow this kind of violations to go on. If it can be done to a senator, imagine an ordinary person.
Just imagine an ordinary individual.
The people in the Senate must know that power is transient. Akpabio cannot be Senate President forever. At some point you will leave. There are people before you. Do the right thing and focus on important issues, security and hunger. Leave the woman to go back and represent her people.
And when people look at the judiciary to be the hope of the common man,
it's
the opposite.
The judiciary in Nigeria is the last hope of the uncommon man. It is not even a judiciary, it's the legal department of every government in power. It has become so compromised that it is where we are supposed to have confidence and justice. It is now being weaponized against the people. So big men can procure court orders at random. We must fix the judiciary.
Then so who then will the common man go to?
That's why everybody turns to God. That is why, because the systems have failed, everybody has turned to religion, and that is why the religious leaders have also become, a lot of them become mischievous and are cashing out, brainwashing the people, and are leaving them more redundant. Instead of telling them to fight to fix government, they are telling them that all their problems are spiritual. Meanwhile, more than 70 to 80% of what you spend time praying in church are issues that will be solved by efficient government.
That's why you see that when people go abroad, they become less. They say they don't believe in God anymore.
You even become more intimate with God when you live in a same place. There is no way you can be in Nigeria. You feel they come back from church and then you see one Agberu. Before you know, you dey speak in tongues, but you go first swear for. So it is even easier to make heaven from abroad than Nigeria. Nigeria will test
you swear for police, swear for NEPA,
every day you wake up, you know go better for this. You know go better now. Go keep it now. Not be say you are not a Christian, but sometimes you go hear people say, make we even keep this Bible for corner. Now I leave my Christianity.
Sometimes we just sleep, wake up with anger. No,
You go
from dreams.
Everybody in Nigeria is on auto anger. That's why if even you want a person excuse for Nigeria, sorry, because he can be angry by default. May you not go trigger an already bad situation. So that's how Nigeria works. So now we just did.
So let's talk 2027. Whether we like it or not, it is coming, and it is coming very, very close to us. And we've seen hints, and I think we've even seen proof that there's a coalition brewing. What do you have to say about that?
Z, coalition is good though. The question I am asking is, why do we need a coalition? The only reason why everybody always believes that we must come together, parties must come together to remove the sitting government, is because they know that INEC will not do the right thing. We have seen a coalition before in 2014.
Yes.
It brought the calamity called the Buhari administration, and it laid the foundation for what we have today. That is why I am not interested in coalitions that are just to take power for the sake of power. It is coalition that is interested in solving insecurity, hunger, inflation, out of school children, and all of that. And one of the dangers of a coalition is the fact that a person who emerges has too many interests to service. Imagine, let us say maybe Peter Obi or anybody emerge as president now from the coalition, and you want to fight the corruption in the oil sector, and then you look at the coalition and see the politicians, power brokers there who are benefiting from what is going on in the oil sector. Your hands become tied. You must fix a system where when people vote for their people, they know that they came on the mandate of the people. So you have full capacity to do what you want to do. That even brings me to, I knew there was a second part of your question where you say that some people say a particular region wants to rule and rule for long. The question you ask is, what are they using the power for? Edafe, since 1960 we have had about 15 or 16 presidencies and heads of states. In that number, the North alone has accounted for more than 10 or about 10. Katsina alone has 2. The late President Yaro. How has it benefited the people in the North? They are the most backward in terms of out of school children. Out of the 20 million out of school children in Nigeria, the North accounts for more than 12 million. Poverty, hunger. So what is the power that is given to you being used for? Is it helping your lives? Nigerians must reach the point where we talk about competence and capacity. If you are a Gede man, if you are a Shan man, and now uchi person, but you can get the job done, please the Lord be with you. Do it. Why is everybody talking about because it is a Tinubu is a Yoruba man, Yoruba Runu. Ekiti people were slaughtered by herdsmen. He has not gone there. So you can be a victim of the incompetent leadership that you support, because the hand of incompetence is long enough to go round.
It goes touch everybody.
So that means we need to start voting for people and not party.
Not party, personality,
individual,
character and competence. Then we build a system of accountability so that when they go there and decide to misbehave, let the law take its course.
Speaking of elections, and voting in the individuals instead of the party. 2023, right? That was when we had our
last election.
I remember coming out with my full shirt. I stayed there. I said that we vote today. 6 p.m. I was still there waiting for them to record the winner. Now a lot of us were heartbroken because we did not expect that kind of result. You have been very acquainted with this whole political thing. From your own opinion, do you think that Tinubu won that election?
This question was too direct that I even Debbie, a lot of persons fell into depression from 2023.
I did.
Some people, do you know that because of how 2023 went, some people have completely disconnected from Nigeria? Some people send me messages and say, Peter, it is now that you are talking about this thing that I'm seeing whether there is still hope. I have given up. Because 2023 we thought it was an opportunity for us to do something. Z, INEC knows the winner of the election. The judiciary know, the people in Aso Rock know. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, a person won an election by losing all major states. He lost Lagos, his home state, lost Kano, lost Abuja. And Abuja is a litmus test for whoever will win the presidency, because Abuja is no man's land. He lost, apart from what happened in Rivers State, the calisthenics that the former governor did there. Rivers State is the highest voting bloc from the south. But somehow INEC found votes gathered, and guess what? They announced the result in the middle of the night when human beings were sleeping. And then the question will be, Mahmoud Yakubu, what caused the glitch? Why did the server not work? You went around with your head of voter education, Barrister Festus Okoye, telling Nigerians more than 100 times that electronic transmission was the game changer. Why did it not work? So it is not about whether the 20, because now the 2023 is behind us. The question is, that character is still INEC chairman till date. He will be leaving on retirement soon. By the time he leaves, he will be replaced with someone who is worse.
This is Nigeria.
Yes, it is Nigeria, because the constitution gives the powers to appoint INEC chairman to the president. Yes, so he will do it again. The question now is, how do we insulate that process from human interference? Because to be fair to you, the best of man is man. Even the Pope can become anything.
Man is flawed.
An Alufa can become many things. You must protect the system such that no matter who is there, it is not at the discretion of those persons.
Exactly.
That is what we must do. Because if we continue to cry over spilled milk of 2023, we will wail until the criminality that took place then will be consolidated on 4 years later.
Exactly.
So how do we make sure that the INEC body brings out proper results?
That is what I've been doing since. That is what we are doing. This electoral reform. The painful thing is that Nigerians have become so disappointed that they don't believe it can work.
Yeah.
A good number of people will tell you electoral reform. They will now even tell you, they say, who want to pass electoral reform? This current set of people who are benefiting from it. Now, then the question I will ask them is, if they don't pass it, who will you want to pass it? Maybe you should wait till when they finish in 2031. Maybe the person who comes after them.
A long time from now, honestly.
Maybe. The tragedy about Nigeria is that there is no worst case scenario. Because things are this bad does not mean it will not get worse.
Yes.
There can be no better time to mobilize and make your demand and get what you want. It is either now or we continue to postpone the evil day. So let us just continue this campaign. See, they get the message. This electoral reform. The politicians are following me more than Nigerians are paying attention.
Okay.
They are doing everything to ensure that Nigerians do not also pay attention.
Yeah.
They know the simple amendment we are talking about. There are even indications, alleged standing orders that nobody should discuss electronic transmission of results. INEC and National Assembly have been holding meetings for 2 years.
Wow.
And they know that there is a time limit. Electoral reform must come at least 1 year before the next election. So at most by December or January 2026, we must conclude it. Look at the delay tactics. So we must mobilize ourselves. So while we are doing electoral reform, pay attention to coalition.
Okay.
And the youth should be more zealous.
So we need to pay more attention.
Yes. Pay more attention. Don't let anybody tell you that. Some people will say, I'm not into politics. Well, sweetheart, politics is into you. Even though you are not into
whether
it.
you get involved or not.
Everybody is a politician.
Yes.
It is either you decide to take active part or you outsource it to persons to take the decisions for you. Now, be that as it may, whatever becomes the outcome of those decisions, you will live with them.
Yes.
So whatever it is that you decide to, if you like, pay attention, don't pay attention. When they tell you politics is a game, it is a game of human lives. It is a game of human blood. If you decide to keep quiet and allow charlatans, the worst of you, to rule over the rest of us, we are all at the detriment or at the mercies of this.
Now, during some of these elections, most of our youths, and I would say some of the problems comes from the youths. Some of them, will you say it is out of poverty or illiteracy that makes these people want to take peanuts to suffer for the next 4 years? Because even the literate ones, they do take money on that day.
Do you know that this poverty and hunger are deliberate?
Weaponized poverty.
It is weaponized. The more impoverished a people are, the less capacity they have to think rightly.
Exactly.
So ask yourself the question: did vote buying in 2019 with 2,000, 3,000.
Did it work?
And in 2023, you did vote buying with 3,000.
Same amount.
How much economically did your life appreciate in 4 years?
Imagine. Okay.
They're not even, imagine in 2020, in 2027, this is 2025, people are still doing vote campaign mobilization with salt. Rice. So it is a careful plan to keep the people on the ground.
Exactly.
But the question, why I will tell you that is not just the problem. The more problem is to fix the system is, in 2023, it did not matter how much was spent. Nigerians were determined. She just told you that she stayed in the polling unit till 6 p.m.
Yes, I did.
There are people who use their own resources.
Yes.
A majority of Nigerians know the right thing.
Yes.
If the system supports them, they want to do the right thing. So all of this vote buying and the rest, it will happen. But it does not mean people have their brains caged. They know what they want.
Yes.
Let us struggle to fix that system. Whether they want to pay, that is why some people will tell you, say, collect money, but vote
do
you
what you want.
True.
So recently, very recently, on the 13th of July 2025, we lost the former president. And we saw people, instead of them to be sad, people were rejoicing. People were happy. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Z, Debbie, Edafe, were you people mourning Buhari?
No. I kind of got Suyasha. We did not
Let us be honest with ourselves, because first of all, none of us here is related to Buhari. I don't know. I am not. I'm not his family member. So his children will have to remember him as whether the loving father or whatever father he was. We know him and we are discussing him because he was president and head of state in this country. So we will remember him for what he did with the power that was given to him. And that is the legacy. And whatever you do when you are alive is what you will be remembered with when you die. And we must stick with the truth. Because the way Nigerians mourn is our own way of grieving and healing. Buhari as an entity was the greatest calamity to befall Nigeria since 1960. He was the mistake that should never have been made.
Never have been repeated.
Buhari as a leader was a brutish leader who led without empathy for the living and never honored the memory of the dead. So asking for people to honor the memory of Buhari is like going against Buhari's own principles. And I will tell you, the mere fact that Buhari died in a London private clinic should tell you everything you need to know about our leaders. You were a former head of state from 1983 to 85, 8 years leader. You were treating ear infections in London. You were not able to build one hospital that could take care of your own needs. The late President Yar'Adua died from the same state of Katsina. Nobody forced Nigerians to mourn. He was sick, but Nigerians saw in him a man who had a heart to do certain things. He was not perfect. You cannot force Nigerians to mourn. You cannot force South Africans to love Nelson Mandela. They know what he did. Everybody should grieve and mourn based on how you feel. And I will tell you why we are going against Buhari's principle of honoring the dead if we continue in this light. The first executive president of Nigeria, Shehu Shagari, who, by the way, Buhari toppled his government in 1983, died on December 28, 2018. He was buried on December 29. Buhari was in the country but never went to Sokoto to pay his last respect to him. He sent a delegation. What do they call him? Chief of Army Staff, who Buhari appointed in January of 2021, died in a fatal helicopter crash. Lieutenant General Atahiru Ibrahim, on his way to Kaduna in the line of duty. He died alongside other officers, about 10 of them, less than 5 months into his administration. Buhari was in the Asu Rock Villa. Those persons were buried at the military cemetery in Abuja. President Buhari did not lift a finger to go there. So if President Buhari does not have empathy for bloody civilians like myself, he does not also have empathy for his fellow military personnel, because he's a retired general. President Buhari, in January of 2018, more than 70 persons were killed in Benue State, buried in a mass burial. He was in the country but never lifted a finger. On 20th of October 2020, if nothing culminates Buhari's legacy, Nigerians who were young people crying against police brutality that they were being killed were seated on the floor at the Lekki toll gate, waving their country's flag and singing the national anthem, begging for police reform. What was Buhari's response? He unleashed military to shoot live arms at peaceful protesters. Till today, there are people whose lives are not accounted for. Some were in prison up till this year, since 2020. If President Buhari's only son Yusuf was amongst those people, will he shoot them? Shebi Yusuf crashed a power bike, and then he was airlifted to abroad for medical treatment. So Buhari, as the oldest person who was president, old age should be empathy. It should be love, because you have seen it all. How did Buhari's old age benefit we as young people? And the final thing for me, the mischief of the Buhari government. Buhari, who came to power on an election that was seemingly free and fair, conducted by President Jonathan. If Buhari did not do anything for Nigeria, at least he should have left a legacy of free and fair elections. Buhari decided to superintend over the most criminal elections in Nigeria. Buhari laid the foundation for what is going on in INEC after removing Professor Jega that Jonathan put there, and puts us where we are today. And then when Nigerians complained about the election, what did Buhari say? He said, if you are not okay with it, you should go to court. Buhari, for the 3 times he ran for president before winning the 4th time, he always went to court. What did he do to sanitize the judiciary? What did he know about the court? So if Nigerians say that whoever thinks that Nigerians are not mourning the way they are mourning, they can go to court. So please, let everybody mourn the way they can mourn. Do not force anybody. We must stick to the truth. Buhari and Tinubu are each other's legacies. They complement themselves in failure. They have a covenant with failure and incompetence, and both of them should inherit each other. They can decide to mourn as they want to mourn. Nigerians must speak our truth for us to heal.
This has been amazing. You see, this last question, you gave us a lot of details. We're giving us dates, we're giving us names. Now I'm curious, how do you have such an amazing memory
for records?
This record keeping, how do you, even I've seen it in your content, you give dates, you give names. How do you do that?
Zino, I think one thing I will say is that, because I don't even think it is something very exceptional until when somebody tells me. I believe that God wires you in line with whatever he wants you to fulfill. So he will give you strength in that area. So there will be areas where I will come and I'm talking about, because it's politics and I'm good, and then I'm reading information, and then you take me to another place where you now have strength. Your own may not be in that kind of figures, but what I find is that I am very interested in governance and politics and government. So whenever I see a name of a person, let's say Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, I want to know what he's doing, how what he's doing is affecting his people, and all of that. How what Buhari did affected the life of the late Professor Ambrose Ali, the former this in Edo State here, and all of that. So it sticks to my memory because I'm interested in it. So I will just say that God will empower you and wire you to be able to fulfill his purpose as he has called you.
That's amazing. That's really, really, really amazing.
So what is actually your take on Nigerian youth, or what is your advice to Nigerian youths now come 2027 general elections?
Edafe, Nigerian youths are some of the most enterprising and genius set of persons that you would ever know in the world. Do you know that most of the medical personnel who treat these our so-called politicians who travel overseas are the Nigerian medical personnel who jackpot overseas. Anywhere you put Nigerians, they excel.
Exactly.
Do you know that under the Biden administration in the US, the person who was the deputy US secretary to the Treasury is somebody called Wale Adeyemo. He's from Ogun State. The mother was a nurse who migrated there. You hear President Biden calling him Wale. Wale is a Yoruba guy in charge of the US Treasury. Nigerians have everything it takes, and Nigeria has everything it takes to be one of the greatest countries in the world. The missing link is good leadership. As young people, Nigeria is a youthful nation, more than 60% youth. Why can we not make a change? America was built by Americans. Nigeria will be built by Nigerians. It only takes courage and resilience. We know one die. People they die. The people who died in Benue were not protesting. We must find the courage to come together and say, let us be our own Messiah. Nobody they come from anywhere to help all of us. And we cannot all jackpot. If I leave, how many of my family am I taking? My mother is here, my siblings are here, and my mind will not even be at rest. And then to go and live as a second-class citizen in a foreign land, doing menial jobs against a country where I know that I am firstborn. Nobody should chase us out of this place. Nigerian youth, it is always impossible until it is done. If we say we can
do it. Okay. Sorry. So a lot of people, I'm not big on politics, but when I hear people talking, I want to know what's up. So I hear people saying we need a young leader. The problem we have is that it's old people that are leading us.
Exactly true.
Now, even with the young people, we they fear. After they catch us, we don't want to go because please get us a B. So would you say that we actually need a younger person to rule this nation? Do you think that if a young person rules us, things will be better?
Debbie, in fact, it's interesting because an interview I had recently, the same question just directly as you asked. I want to let you know that we have had young people. Yahaya Bello, the former governor of Kogi State, was one of the youngest governors.
That's true.
Who turned out to be the Yahaya Bello that you know?
We know
You can be a thief at 40. If you don't change, you'll be a thief at 70. You'll be a thief at 80. Fools grow old. Thieves grow old in stealing. The problem is not whether you are old or young. I understand that to lead Nigeria, there is a personal physical stamina that is needed to be mentally alert and physically alert. But beyond that, my dear friends, we must build a system of accountability. America is led by Donald Trump is almost 80 years old. Have you listened to Trump talking? Would you believe he's an 80-year-old?
No, actually wouldn't.
Because it is the system that instills discipline on you, where there are consequences. See, nobody is born with the innate ability to do good. In America, you will hear people, they say that you know if you beat traffic, they say you should not drink and drive. Have you seen expatriates in Nigeria beat traffic? You have seen white men beat traffic. Because in those climes, in those countries, nobody even needs to pursue you. Camera capture your distance, they send you paper, withdraw your license. There are consequences. Here, the system permits it. There was, let me just give you, a Secretary of Treasury, former US Secretary of Housing, Dr. Ben Carson, I don't know if you people know him, the renowned neurosurgeon. You know he's a very wealthy man. During Trump's first term, he appointed him as US Secretary of Housing. He went and assumed office, and when he got there, apart from the money that was given to fix everything, he used his personal finances to refurbish his office, exceeding the amount that is required and approved by Congress. The US Congress called the US Secretary of Housing. There they call secretary, we call minister. They said no. If you were in private life, this is public office. You don't go beyond.
You don't pass your boundary. What you're given.
So this is the framework with which we work, and every money that is approved by Congress must be accounted for. That is how we work. Build a system of accountability. When an old person comes, it is the system that will force him to perform. So when an old person knows that he cannot perform, he will not even contest in the first place. But when he knows that no matter how bad, don't worry. Buhari was treating in London. I treat in France as Tinubu. The one who will come now say Sri Lanka is my hospital. So that is how it is. It is not about, both women are not finding it easy, young people are not finding it easy. Even good old people. Why did Professor Oshibajo not scale through the APC primaries? Imagine if it was a contest of intellectuals. The system does not allow good character, persons with good character to prevail. So it is more of that system that should be fixed.
So we are currently in Edo State. And last week or recently, the court ruled in favor of I think APC. And many people have said, oh, it is yes, he won, and many people have also said it is not possible for him to have credibly won that election. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Make them no go will let me. This Nigeria we live here. You know the interesting thing about Edo State, Edo has just had the misfortune of governance, such that like almost every other state in Nigeria, what Lucky did for 8 years, and then Oshomole came. after taking out Professor Osumbo, who was the then cousin of the late Stella Obasanjo, and then Oshomolo came with a mantra that he wanted to fight godfatherism and all of that and all that, and then on leaving office almost converted to become the godfather. And that was what happened during the second term election of Governor Obaseki. Even so, when he brought Eze Iyamu, people insisted that they will go for Obaseki. Today we are where we are, and aside whether the election was free and fair, because it still boils down to electoral reform. Obaseki brought Aso Ighodalo, and then Oshomole brought Monday Okpebholo. But the recent events, just yesterday, there was a Thanksgiving in Abuja where they hosted the FCT minister. And in fact, the FCT minister was the one giving advice to the governor on how and what not to do. So the question you now ask yourself is, beyond winning elections, who are the powers who are in control? Is it actually about the people of Edo State? Is it actually the mandate of the people? If a Thanksgiving, the videos are there. Governor Shomole, former governor, was dancing. Okpebholo was there. Wike came in a black jalabia with this thing, and he was speaking like the constituted authority of Edo State. So the question is, what powers exactly help people to get leadership? So I don't even want to go into the because of course the Supreme Court has ruled, and if the Supreme Court has ruled, that is it. In Nigeria, anything you do not solve before election, if the person is sworn in, you are on your own. Unless in a case like Imo, where they can bring the technical Supreme Court governor, where they will remove who and then bring who came forth, because the ruling party in Abuja is hell bent. But here you are aligned, you are the same party, so nothing will be done. It is up to all of us as Edo people. Some of the most intelligent minds in Nigeria. Edo is the heartbeat of the nation. Imagine one person leaving his state to control the leadership of Edo. When they go tell you, say, Edo know they carry last, Wari know they carry last, and then we cannot have functional. Tomorrow flood go happen, everywhere go close. Next tomorrow it will be one thing. It will be how about now? It never tire us. So I'm not going into the details of the elections and all of that. It is already done. It is done. He has 4 years. The next 4 years will come. What would you do?